On the eve of Ukraine's Independence Day, President Volodymyr Zelensky marked the National Flag Day. He called the Ukrainian flag a dream and a goal for those in the occupied territories. Zelensky also vowed that Ukraine will not cede land to Russia. Zelensky has already said that Russia was doing everything it could to prevent a meeting between him and President Vladimir Putin as diplomatic talks between both sides remain stalled. Let's listen to some of President Zelensky's remarks.
This flag is a purpose and a dream for many of our people in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. This flag symbolizes what is most precious to hundreds and thousands of our soldiers, men and women from all over Ukraine, who are defending not just a particular direction, not just Vovchansk or Dobropilya, but our entire Ukraine.
For more on this, we can cross to Kyiv and welcome Peter Zalmayev, director of the Eurasian Democracy Institute. Peter, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Pleasure to be with you.
So, as we've been discussing, today is Flag Day. Can you tell us a bit about the significance of this event for Ukraine?
Well, this is, of course, a significant event. It's the flag symbolizes, a return to Ukraine's pre-Soviet roots and final determination of the Ukrainian people to break away from Russia. From Russia, which, let me remind you, Ukraine has been on, or had been on quite friendly terms with until 2014, is when, after years of anti-Ukrainian hysteria on Russian TV channel and other mass media, Russia was, able to, mobilize its population in its, campaign to try to, annihilate Ukraine as an independent state. And so that actually has caused vast majorities of Ukrainians to want to join NATO, which then Vladimir Putin, claimed he was going into Ukraine to prevent from happening. So a lot of what has happened has been sort of a one-way street. Vladimir Putin has needed Ukraine as sort of the bogeyman against which to build his propaganda. Whereas all Ukraine ever wanted was to live its own, independent existence, have its sovereignty, have sovereignty and control over its foreign policy, including its alliances, something which is now, of course, in grave doubt. Whether Ukraine will ever join NATO or not. But as you just saw and you just showed in this program, Vladimir Zelensky has ruled out giving up on Ukrainian land. This remains sacrosanct, and this remains a non-starter for Ukrainians, whether we're talking about Crimea or the official recognition of Russia's sovereignty over Crimea or any other so-called land swaps, which would necessitate Ukrainian forces to leave from the, areas that Ukraine still controls. So this is a very, very important statement, this sort of grim determination to continue resisting now that the Russian army is continuing its advance. These are not the easiest times, and this is probably not the happiest occasion, alas, to celebrate this day.
Peter, let's talk a little bit about peace talks. You mentioned there this idea of land swaps. U.S. President Donald Trump was kind of pushing that in the summit in Alaska when he came back, and then there was the meeting on Monday. And now, as we've mentioned, Zelensky, that's a non-starter. So where do we go from here? I mean, Putin's been dragging his feet about having this face-to-face. Zelensky said he's ready. Moscow keeps stalling. So where does this leave things going forward?
Well, I'm afraid that from the get-go, this was sort of a preordained conclusion, at least in my mind, is that Vladimir Putin will go through all the motions possible to sort of string Donald Trump along, not to alienate Donald Trump to the point where he would actually fulfill one of his campaign promises and give Ukraine more weapons than Joe Biden ever did. So he does not want to alienate Donald Trump, too much, but at the same time, it's clear that Vladimir Putin is simply not interested in winding this down. He sees that things are going his way on the front lines. He wants the rest of the Donbass. That is sort of his a minimal program at this point. He's got China's backing, and so there's just simply no motivation for him to wrap this up. He does understand that his American colleague is in a hurry to claim his Nobel Peace Prize, right? But he can only do so much to help him, which means nothing really. And once again, let's not, discount what the Russian propaganda that I just referred to, that has been, portraying President Zelensky as illegitimate and someone that Putin would not ever meet with, other than to have him sign Ukraine's capitulation. So at this point, I believe that Donald Trump may have sort of fooled himself into thinking that, a meeting such as this, the triad that he kept saying, triad this, triad that it was imminent. But then I don't think Vladimir Putin ever really, meant that it would happen. I think he made just enough he dropped enough hints that this is a possibility. He said that to Witkoff when he came to Moscow right before the Alaska summit. And I think this was done enough to sort of rope the Americans in to have Vladimir Putin come to Alaska, which I think was a huge PR stunt and PR victory for Vladimir Putin. And in return, America got nothing. But that was actually the name and the goal of that special operation. The optics of the Alaska summit, which did not really mean that this trilateral meeting was happening. I don't think that there's even a consideration of that at this point.
Right, Peter, as you mentioned there, certainly the Russian president scored a big PR win with that summit in Alaska. I mean, he was welcomed with a red carpet, and as of now, we haven't heard any concessions coming from the Russian side, and they continue to bomb Ukraine. I mean, as you mentioned, they're continuing to take more territory in Donetsk, one of the areas that Putin has indicated he'd like to take and possibly freeze the front line. So I want to ask, with all of this, how long can the Ukrainian army hold out against this? And, what's the mood and the morale there?
The mood and the morale is that of course, fatigue above and beyond. People, the folks that have been in this war, the men and women, vast majorities of them have been in it since the very beginning. They have not demobilized. So you're talking about 3.5 years. This is, of course, simply inhuman sort of endurance that we're witnessing. They badly need replacements, and it's not been easy. I will not be, revealing any secrets to say that it's not been easy. There are problems with manpower, and unlike Russia, which of course outmatches Ukraine by a factor of 5, is also able to rely on its North Korean partners for cannon fodder, which Kim Jong-un willingly has provided. We do not have that sort of advantage. We do not have the same, arrangement with our allies. Our allies have time and again ruled out, sending troops on the ground, and that is a major, major difference. Ukraine, of course, will hold out, continue holding out. It may be retreating for quite some time yet. And so at the very least, I think Ukrainians would really love to have a reassurance from their Western allies that at least we will have regular deliveries of weapons. The sort of shenanigans we're seeing in Washington, with the vice president and the president saying that they'll just walk away or they may not walk away. And no one benefits from this sort of, hesitancy. It frays the transatlantic unity, and it actually sends a very bad signal to the world that America does not stand by its allies.
Peter, thank you so much for your analysis. We're going to have to leave it there. Of course, we could discuss longer, but we're running out of time. Peter, again, thank you for joining us. That's Peter Zalmayev, Director of the Eurasian Democracy Institute.